Hey everybody, it's Tolkien Reading Day 2025. And I thought I would throw something into the pot and hopefully we won't inquire too deeply into the bones. But the theme of this year is community and friendship. And I want to come at this from slightly more of a kind of macroscopic point of view. These are tough times right now. Whatever side you're on. It's nobody could say, "Oh well, everything's just going swimmingly. We're all so happy." It's a tough time, and you know, when I was a kid, almost 50 years ago now, and I was on a bus. I was crossing New York City after school to go get a book that was just coming out that day. It was coming out. It was September 1977. Might ring a bell to some of you. But anyway, the book I was going to pick up was this, right? The Silmarillion, the long promised, much delayed, final history of Middle Earth, as a friend of mine at the time called it. And so I went home and I began reading it. And after a while, probably sometime about 4 o'clock in the morning, I came to a passage in a section of the Silmarillion called Achalabeth, which deals with the history of the island continent of Numenor. Now, some of you, as Tolkien fans, are familiar with Numenor. Some of you may know it from the Rings of Power. But you know, there comes a point in Numenorian history where the community is fractured between two very different groups of people who have very different ideas about what they should do, how they should live, and things like that. And the group in power, which has become very tyrannical, has decided that they're going to invade an area called the Aman, the Blessed Land, which is where the Valar, the angelic, godlike beings who manage the world, and the Eldar, the elves, live, and they all live forever. At least as long as the world lasts. And but men are not allowed there. It's not a place men are supposed to go because, in truth, men wouldn't last very long there because it would kind of burn them out. But they want to go there because they think if they go there, everything will be perfect and they will live forever and all that good stuff. So they decided, they're going to invade. And the Numenorian king at this time was named Ar-Pharazôn, again, a name you may be familiar with from the books or from TV, leads this enormous fleet to Valinor, the land of the blessed. And there's just this amazing description of everything that happens there and then everything that happens back in Numenor. And about how this friendship between men and elves and the Valar is just destroyed, and the friendship of the community among men themselves is destroyed in the catastrophic results that come of this. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this here. But the fleets of Ar-Pharazôn came up out of the deeps of the sea, and encompassed Avalone and all the isle of Aresea. And the Eldar mourned, for the light of the setting sun was cut off by the cloud of the Numenorians. And at last Ar-Pharazôn came even to Aman, the blessed realm, and the coasts of Valinor. And still all was silent, and doom hung by a thread. For Ar-Pharazôn wavered at the end, and almost he turned back. His heart misgave him when he looked upon the soundless shores and saw Taniquetil shining, whiter than snow, colder than death, silent, immutable, terrible as the shadow of the light of Iluvatar. Pride was now his master, and at last he left his ship and strode upon the shore, claiming the land for his own, if none should do battle for it. And a host of the Númenóreans encamped in might about Tuna, whence all the Eldar had fled. Then Manwe upon the mountain called upon Ilúvatar, and for that time the Valar laid down the government of Arda. But Ilúvatar showed forth his power, and he changed the fashion of the world, and a great chasm opened in the sea between Númenor and the Deathless Lands, and the waters flowed down into it. And the noise and smoke of the cataracts went up to heaven, and the world was shaken. And all the fleets of the Númenóreans were drawn down into the abyss, and they were drowned and swallowed up forever. But Ar-Pharazôn the king, and the mortal warriors that had set foot upon the land of Aman, were buried under falling hills. There it is said that they lie imprisoned in the caves of the Forgotten until the last day, and the last battle, that is, and the day of doom. But the land of Aman and Arisea of the Eldar were taken away and removed beyond the reach of men forever. And Endor, the land of gift, Númenor of the kings, Elena of the star of Eärendil, was utterly destroyed. For it was nigh to the east of the great rift, and its foundations were overturned, and it fell and went down into the darkness, and is no more. And there is not now upon earth any place abiding where the memory of a time without evil is preserved. For Ilúvatar cast back the great seas west of Middle-earth, and the empty lands east of it, and new lands and new seas were made, and the world was diminished. For Valinor and Arisea were taken from it, and into the realm of hidden things. In an hour unlooked for by men this doom befell, on the 39th day since the passing of the fleets. Then suddenly fire burst from the Meneltarma, and there came a mighty wind and a tumult of the earth, and the sky reeled, and the hills slid, and Númenor went down into the sea, with all its children, and its wives, and its maidens, and its ladies proud, and all its gardens, and its halls, and its towers, its tombs, and its riches, and its jewels, and its webs, and its things painted and carven, and its laughter, and its mirth, and its music, its wisdom, and its lore. They vanished forever. And last of all, the mounting wave, green and cold and plumed with foam, climbing over the land, took to its bosom Tar Miriel the queen, fairer than silver or ivory or pearls. Too late she strove to ascend the steep ways of the Meneltarma to the holy place, for the waters overtook her, and her cry was lost in the roaring of the wind. That real powerful, really moving, really just one of the best, that last paragraph, especially one of the best paragraphs Tolkien ever wrote, to give the idea that all that was lost because of this failure of friendship and community. And it's always touched my heart and always made me very sad. And there's another passage I want to read to you today, not from Tolkien, and much briefer. So I'll just set it up a little bit, but I think you'll see the connection. There was a TV show back in the 90s called Babylon 5. And it was a science fiction show, took place in the middle of the 23rd century. And as the prologue said, at the dawn of the third age, which of course the fall of Numenor is at the end of the second age. So different ages, different times. Common thread, though, I think. And there's an episode in the first season where humans have been out into the wider galaxy for some time. They've done what humans do. They've made friends, they've made enemies, they've made allies, they've fought wars, they've made peace, they've done all sorts of things. And they've got concerns about immigration and concerns about this and concerns about everything. Sounds familiar, right? And the captain or the commander of this station, Babylon 5, because that's what Babylon 5 is being interviewed by a news reporter. And the news reporter says to him, uh, it's dangerous out here. Maybe we've got enough problems at home and we should just kind of go back home and stay home and mind our own business and take care of our problems there. And the commander, named Sheridan, answers. And I think with the necessary changes having been made, you'll again see the connection. He says to her question that shouldn't we just stay home or go back home? And he says no, we have to stay out here. And there's a simple reason why. Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years or 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold, and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe and Lao Tzu and Einstein and Gandhi and King and Buddy Holly and Aristophanes. And all of this was for nothing unless we go to the stars. Okay, that's the end of that quote. I changed the quote around a little because there's a couple of references in there that to things that wouldn't make any sense if you hadn't seen the show because it's the characters, people in our history of Earth who don't exist yet. So, um, I was on that bus going to pick up my copy of the Silmarillion. The world I inhabited and my friend on the bus inhabited. You know, we thought the world was going in the right direction. There had been great strides made in science and in justice, opportunity, the Voting Rights Act, demonstrations for peace, demonstrations for equality, a rising standard of living for everyone. Freedom seemed to be a thing that was in store, and equality, seemed to be something that was in store for everyone. And obviously, there were lots of people in the world who didn't have as rosy a view of this as we white kids going to Catholic school did. Uh, we were well situated. We were privileged. We didn't see it the way people of other colors did in other places who weren't quite as on top of the heap as it turns out we were. But we seem to be going in the same direction. We seem to be going in the right direction. Um, if we lose those things that we were striving for, peace and justice and equality, if we lose those things, if we give up on those things, if we say that this group has to be subordinate to that group, and this group isn't good enough, and that group has got something wrong with them, and all of that, we're going to lose everything. And it will be like everything that all of those people throughout American history who fought for freedom, who fought for equal rights, who fought for justice, who fought against slavery, the people all around the world, everywhere, who did the same stuff. It'll all be for nothing. It'll all be for nothing. And it's up to us whether it's all for nothing or not, because we got about 5 billion years to go before the sun burns out. So we got some time yet. But, how dark does that time have to be? We can make a difference there. We can decide that. But got to do it with community and friendship. We've got to do it together, and maybe that's a little naive on my part. I'm just trying not to be cynical. I don't know. But Numenor was destroyed by that in the book. We will be destroyed if we do not hang together, if we do not work together, if we do not fight together. Not with each other, but for each other. And I guess I probably should stop there before I end up on somebody's enemies list. Anyway, 25th of March. It's a good day for the downfall of evil. Thanks.